Today, I'm going to be venturing into the roughest neighborhood in the whole of Romania. This neighborhood has a notorious reputation. I contacted many fixers, asking them to take me into this neighborhood. Only one of them said they could do it. This neighborhood was originally built for construction workers during the communist era, but soon after was abandoned, and illegal squatters moved in and took over big apartment blocks. It's now run by gangs and home to some of the hardest hitting scenes you'll see in Europe. Let's do this. Welcome to Bucharest in Romania, the second biggest parliament building in the world, second only to the Pentagon in the United States. Below this building, if you believe it or not, is another third of its size with bomb shelters built to withstand the forces of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, atomic bomb shelters. Pretty incredible stuff. But today we're going into one of the most deprived neighborhoods in all of Romania. It's a forgotten neighborhood. We have to be somewhat careful. I've just been picked up by a local guide here. He's telling me that we have to be very careful. People really do not like random people walking around, and especially not with a camera and stuff. So we're gonna jump in the car, drive about 15 minutes from here, and we're gonna be going into Ferencváros, a notorious neighborhood here in Romania. Let's go. So we've entered into Ferencváros, and some parts are quite nice and some parts are a bit more on the deprived side. We're entering the bit more of the deprived side now, so we'll see what it's like, but you gotta be quite careful. People are not the happiest with the camera, which is fair enough.
Here are 2 rooms sometimes.
Alright guys, so a bit of a situation is that basically it's like so intense to film. There's this one street we went down and there's just people on all sides and very rough. We spoke to one guy and he said that it's like very dangerous to get the camera out here, and
it's for our protection.
It's for our protection, and if you get the camera...
If you want to do it, but it's your own decision.
Risk, yeah. And if they see the camera, they'll just smash it. Okay, so we just drove through like one of the roughest streets I've ever seen in Europe, and I've been to most European countries and to different neighborhoods in those countries, and we did talk to a local guy and he said just don't even think about getting that camera out, because it will get snatched out of your hand and it's guaranteed it will get smashed. And you have to know the clan bosses to operate in that area. But I put the drone up, you can see here some shots. So extremely rough, extremely deprived. It only seems to be one street though, which is quite interesting. And there's just people doing drugs in these absolutely decrepit Soviet era buildings. Graffiti everywhere, trash and everything. Although there is an initiative to clean it up and apparently it was significantly worse. I've actually traveled Romania reasonably extensively. Before I was doing filming and things back in 2014, I saw lots of different parts of Bucharest, and back then it was significantly more rough. There were orphans living underground, sniffing glue, literally living in the heating ducts of the city outside the Gardin train station. I saw some very grim things.
You can travel to the heart of the EU from the station in Bucharest, but there's another Romania underground.
Coming down.
This is the entrance to Bucharest's underworld. By late afternoon outside the station, they start to wake up, clambering up out of the ground, disorientated. This world underground, we're told, has an overlord, and you only go down by invitation.
You okay?
Yeah. It's the heat that hits you first. The camera lens steams up. Then the music kicks in.
Hey.
These are the lost ones, The children spewed out by the old communist orphanages have had kids of their own. When Ceausescu fell, there were nearly 50,000 of them.
Mă cheamă Cătălina. La 11-12 ani. Da, dar m-au abandonat la spital.
Viața, că nu mai am viața care o aveam, care trebuia să o am de copil. Trebuia să am o viață normală.
Been brought to another section of this strange community, like a hostel, underground.
Majoritatea, eu i-am crescut, de copii mici. I-am luat de pe străzi și i-am strâns pe toți într-un loc unde m-am ocupat de ei.
Many, like Bruce Lee, born in Ceausescu's notorious orphanages.
Bruchele, regia al canalelor. Și aici, când eram eu copil, păi aici am crescut, în canalele astea. E treaba societății, noi suntem, nu? Suntem ultimul oameni. Da? Eu am încercat să-i organizez, să fac o fundație, să facem o familie.
For the equivalent of 50 pence, he sells bags of a metallic paint called Orolac. A synthetic drug similar to methadone is also on offer. He says we should meet the woman who looks after Nico with him. For that, though, he says we have to go upstairs and out of the tunnels. A high-profile raid on a section of Bucharest's network of tunnels, old heating ducts that double as drug dens. The self-styled king of the sewers, known as Bruce Lee, the drug dealer king, left sitting on the pavement for the cameras. A few weeks after our first visit, Catalina, a teenager we met down there, died of a drug overdose. We filmed as the people of the tunnels came up to pay their respects. Her drug dealer, Bruce Lee, was mourner-in-chief. Bruce Lee is more jester than king. The real criminal royalty here don't allow themselves to become minor media celebrities.
Although it's shocking to see this, it is a story of progression and success for Bucharest and Romania as a whole. After Romania joined the European Union, things started to get significantly better in terms of the quality of life and the standard of living. But yeah, we did get some pretty rough looks, and one guy was pretty aggressive, one guy was really friendly. You know, we're in these people's neighborhood, and you know, who knows, they don't know our intentions, you know, so you can understand where they're coming from. There's a lot of Roma people living here, and that's a highly contentious topic in Europe, especially the further east you go. It's a marginalized group. Some people like them, some people definitely do not like them. Leave you to do your own research and come to your own conclusions on that. Having lived in Hungary in the past myself, I know the societal response to a lot of this. I really did want to go into these buildings, but we asked a few people here and they just looked at us like we were crazy for even thinking of that. And many of the entrances to these buildings had no doors. A lot of windows were missing, and I looked inside and it was just flooded with rubbish everywhere, and I saw people doing drugs, sniffing metallic paint and glue. And my fixer that you'll meet in a second, I asked around many people, many fixers and guides in Romania. Most people refused to go into this neighborhood, and my fixer here was the only one that was willing to go inside this neighborhood. That's how much of a bad reputation it has in Romania. I would have loved to interview people. We did ask a few people if they'd be interested in doing an interview. They said absolutely not. Again, they said if you get that camera out, it's going to be smashed. Should probably get going because, yeah, you don't want to stick around with a camera with a massive microphone on it like I'm doing for too long. The outskirts of that street are okay, but you know, it's still a bit rough, honestly speaking. But good to see the progression that Romania has made as a whole, and it's really nice to see a European country clean up and progress like this, honestly speaking. Okay, so here we are with my right-hand man here in Bucharest, Radu.
Hello.
An absolute wealth of knowledge. Professor, right?
Yes, that's right. An economist.
A professor and an economist, right? And historian.
And historian, of course.
Right. And so, would you mind explaining a little bit about Ferencváros as a whole, maybe a bit about its backstory and where it is now?
When I graduated university, I had a small one-room apartment right here in the area. But that area at that time was not for gypsies. There were workers working to develop and to change the face of Bucharest, as we have seen there, to the monster as a big palace. So
Yeah,
there were
where we started the day.
That's
Yeah.
right. Many workers coming from other places, not from Bucharest, and in order to give them shelter, they give that one-room apartment
Here.
to work in the construction.
So that huge parliament building that we saw, the second biggest in the world, that was built in 6 years with
6 years.
20,000 people working around the clock, 20,000 per shift.
Per shift.
Working, and so that the workers that were shipped in from all over.
Because you cannot do that in
No, 6 years of a building that large,
No,
you know?
nobody can do it.
It covers a floor area of approximately 365,000 square meters, stands 84 meters tall. Its sheer weight is estimated at over 4 million tons. Construction began in 1984 under the orders of communist dictator Ceausescu and was largely completed by 1997, though some sections remain unfinished. So basically, because there was so much construction going on and they shipped in people from not just internally, domestically in Romania, but from all around Europe and probably even further afield, right?
Sure.
It needed a place for them all to live, so they built all these one-bedroom apartments, and I'm sure at the time the conditions were okay, but then obviously it fell into disrepair and then it was kind of overrun, and a lot of the buildings, the apartments that we just saw, there'll be squatters living in there, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That was not the cleanest part of Bucharest. That is not Romania, because the conditions are not according for a European country. I'm talking about a European country because Romania is in the center of Europe. 6 million Romanians live abroad and working there
Right now.
right now. Why? For the salaries. They were better paid, so they moved from the area, from here. So a community, a huge community, start to move and coming to Ferentari because nobody wants to have them in the center. Romanians wants to have a clean country.
Yeah.
So if you keep clean, they don't look the color of your skin. No, it's not that. We are not racist. We have a very good integration, but democracy means strict respect of the rules. And if all the Romanians are obliged to respect the rules, also the others must follow the same line.
You've seen a massive change in this neighborhood, right? I mean,
That's
it
right.
used to be like all these streets were very rough, but now, you know, there's more opportunities, maybe a bit more funding coming in and things. Then it's just that one street that's kind of like the Wild West, right?
It depends of the how much you are integrated in the community. We are now in Ferentari, but as you already filmed here, it's a clean area, and look there, because other way they receive tickets if you throw something from the street. But that remain the only one, and they announced in the television they will try to do all the best to clean and ask them to live in a decent conditions. Not because they are gypsies. Some people don't want to take a shower.
I just want to take a quick second and say thank you to CyberGhost VPN for sponsoring this video. In today's digital age, protecting your online privacy and security is absolutely crucial. One of the best ways to do so is to use a VPN. CyberGhost VPN has you covered. It hides your IP address and encrypts your internet connection, so you can enjoy an anonymous and private browsing experience. Not only will CyberGhost mask the IP address on the sites you visit, it'll also enable you with a foreign IP to book travel and hotels for less, which is something that I actually use frequently. It's pretty amazing how much cheaper you can get flights for depending on where you set your VPN to. I also use it on Netflix to access different content libraries. Netflix and other streaming services, as you may know, have different libraries depending on what country you're viewing from and where your IP address is. CyberGhost VPN allows you to change your virtual location and get access to a whole new world of content. It's compatible with over 40 major streaming platforms. And with servers in over 100 countries, you can be anywhere in the world at any time. CyberGhost is a world leader in the security and privacy privacy industry, with over 38 million users and excellent ratings on Trustpilot. I love the interface. I've used many different VPNs. This interface is my favorite because it's not clunky and it's seamless, easy to use. And thanks to CyberGhost, you'll have an overall better online experience for just over €2 a month. If you use the link in the description, you'll get 4 months free on a 2-year offer, giving you even more content and security on the internet while supporting my work, which is greatly appreciated. You can use CyberGhost on 7 different devices, no matter the operating system. Could be iOS, Windows, Android, Linux, and even game consoles and smart TVs. If you're still not convinced, you can try it for a 45-day period with a money-back guarantee. So you've really got nothing to lose and everything to gain. A massive thank you to CyberGhost VPN for sponsoring this video, supporting my work, and let's get back to it. From what I've seen Romania over 10 years ago, and I can hardly recognize parts of Bucharest anymore.
Absolutely.
In a positive way.
In a positive way. In a positive way. We are not talking about the politics. Mostly we are talking about the European integration, and the Romanians want to show that they are Europeans. We are in Europe, but at the gates of the Orient. We have many influence also from Turkey, because Romania paid tribute until 1877 to the Turks. But change dramatically in 10 years, changed very much. 25 years ago, here was impossible to walk. Rubbish and everything. Now they come, the firemen, and they wash everything fine, because you cannot leave the street, because the Romanians don't like to have a capital in this place. I'm talking about the majority. From 18 million in whole Romania, more than 2 million lives here in Bucharest and want to keep Bucharest clean. But we recognize we have that community that they did not accept to be judged in the court, because they have their own judge. But now it's not possible. You are a citizen here, so you have to obey to the regulation, not to the Stabor. Stabor in Gypsy means supreme judge of the community, and they take the decision what to do, even to cut a finger, even to cut the tongue or something like that. That does not exist. We are in 2025. They have their...
So Radu, where are we going now?
We are going now in a place, in a village outside Bucharest, not very far, 10 miles only from the center of the city, from the big civilization, and where there is a strong and huge Gypsy community. I can assure you that here, if not 100%, but more than 80% of the people living here belong to the Gypsy ethnic group. But they are quite integrated. Okay, look at their philosophy, how to build the houses. Now, look there. This is a real Gypsy village here. But look at those cars.
Because it seems to be like Mercedes, BMW.
Yeah.
These houses are so unique. I've never seen anything like it.
It's their culture. All over the country, because it's not only here, all over the country, this is the style to show their manner of thinking. They are dressed in their typical costumes. It is very nice because it's a culture. The Gypsy community belongs to Romanian, to the Romanian culture. Okay, different manner. Look, they are all Gypsy ladies. Bachtalu! I said, God bless you in Gypsy language.
And so what's where we came from in Ferentari on that the center street there. But is it dangerous here, or it's a lot safer here than in there, right?
No, it's safer. You can leave the car here, nobody will do anything. Oh, the stork, first stork.
All right. Can you explain a bit about the storks that live on top of the power lines?
The storks is something that people like very much because in a mystic way they believe that the stork brings the babies.
Look out for Mr. Stork, that persevering chap. He'll come along and drop a bundle in your lap.
Here is a baby with eyes of blue, straight from heaven right to you. Sign here, please.
But, as a matter of fact, the storks migrate from Europe to Africa in the end of September, beginning of the October, and stay where it's warmer, and coming back now in April. They cannot be in Italy, they cannot be in Switzerland, because they cannot fly over the seas and crossing very short distances on the water. So they across the Danube, and then they go to Anatolia, to Turkey, and the Suez Channel, and they arrive in Egypt. And some of them, they use the GPS, they put a GPS, and a stork make 5,500 kilometers to arrive to Tanzania. They arrive up to
Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Really?
Yeah, that's Tanzania. If the partner died, they will never look. The female or something like that. So
They'll only mate once with one partner. Life partner, right?
Yeah, life partner.
All these houses here are Roma people.
Yes,
Vast majority.
most of them rarely are Romanian, but the Romanian must make a compromise staying with them. Well, it's not dangerous, but to accept each other. But if you don't accept their regulations.
What are the regulations?
The regulation, and to keep quiet and to not say anything to the police, hide the reality and whatever.
What's the reality?
Well, the reality, they make crimes but nobody recognizes.
What crimes are you referring to?
I'm not talking about killing people exactly. Crime committed, stealing, burning, but stealing especially. Their profession was to steal horses. The government closed the eyes and sometimes don't ask them taxes, but to keep clean. Other way, it's a trouble for them because they force him to clean and to wash and everything. I don't know if that is racist, but Romania as a European country must be clean. I think it's much better to be clean than stinking.
So who lives in here?
He's the owner of the football team, Steaua. And he said all his money comes from his prayer to the crucifix, the Christ.
So we've come to a very upmarket neighborhood with some of the most insanely grand houses.
Financial engineering, making deals with the state, but must be careful because I can be killed now with this democracy.
I feel like that you're pointing towards corruption here in a roundabout way.
Yeah, well, corruption is all over the world. Let's not talk about that here. You have not the right to change the destination of a house that was rebuilt completely from zero. That house was rebuilt from zero, but the owner was obliged to preserve the old style of the building. Here used to live the leaders of the Communist Party, and now lives those who killed the leaders of the Communist Party. They change only the color of their ties.
And so you, having grown up in Romania and lived through the Ceausescu years,
Yeah, sure.
life is obviously significantly better now.
Yes. Now I feel you don't have a full right to say your opinions.
You mean in the world generally? You can't speak your mind.
Yeah, that's right.
So you've seen, coming from a place with no freedom of speech, and now you see in the West that there's a somewhat kind of a shunning of free speech.
I try to understand what happened.
Could you ever imagine back in the days of communism here that you would look to the West and have that opinion?
Everybody dreams for the West. Everybody wants to leave the country to go to the West, because the oppression made by the communists was not so easy.
So now you're more positive of you see the future of Romania being a more positive one than that of certain Western countries. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
I hope so.
You feel that way?
Yeah.
So we've come to central Bucharest, and we're around these beautiful lakes here and lots of nice restaurants and, you know, people going about their day, and a really beautiful city. And I'm honestly lost for words of how much this place has changed for the better in the last decade. I was here in 2014, like I mentioned, and you know, it was an interesting place then, and there were a lot of good sides, but there was also a lot of quite hard-hitting poverty. That neighborhood that we just went to at the start, Ferentari, it was much, much worse. And even now you can see it's getting cleaner and cleaner, and soon that'll all be cleaned up. Really nice to see such positive changes. I know there's still issues in politics, as you know, there always will be everywhere, but really nice to see how a city and a country can progress so drastically in just 10 years.